So here in section 16.12 is where they really define Romanesque architecture for you. And they start by just defining the word Romanesque. It means in the Roman manner, the style of the Romans. So it is one of these oddball art history terms that's actually a later term. It starts to be used in the early 19th century as people are talking about medieval church architecture. They're looking back and they're saying, oh, the way they built churches then was in the Roman style. Why? Because you have the three things that are key. Solid masonry walls. Masonry can be brick masonry, but we're not talking about brick masonry here. We're talking about stone masonry. Stones piled up to become a wall. And when you use stones like that, you need rounded arches and vaults. The ancient Romans knew that because they built this way. Here's a very ancient example of the Romans figuring that out, building stonemason construction with an arch. Look at the stones are lined up. They're piled up to create a wall. And when you do that, you actually have to have an arch. You cannot have it flat across. Let me explain. This is a reconstruction drawing of a Roman basilica. We looked at this briefly. Now you have columns, which is a feature of Roman architecture as well as Greek architecture. And you have a flat horizontal element called a lintel. So this, architecturally, this is called a post and a lintel. That's the architectural term for when you have a vertical, that can be a square or a round vertical, a post, supporting a horizontal. You can do that if you are supporting a wooden roof, because wood is fairly light. If you're supporting a stone roof, you can't do that. The stones will come collapsing down on your head, especially if you live in earthquake country. So this is a diagram showing the system of building that the Romans worked out using arches that then gets to become the main system of building around 1100, 1000, 1100, 1200. So you see over on the right here, they're showing you the kind of wood scaffolding that you would use if you were a stone mason builder to support the arch that you would build. So you have piers as those post supports. You learn the term pier in Hagia Sophia, but you don't have a lintel. You have an arch that's built by carefully stacking the stones and placing a keystone to hold the tension and then building the wall around that. So here's a Roman aqueduct, and you can see how efficiently they were able to build by using the arches. You actually save material if you're a Roman building an aqueduct, that it has to cover a great distance. You're not filling everything in with solid walls. It actually happens to be beautiful as well. And this aqueduct, the Pont de Gall, is in what we today call France, in the city of Nîmes, because that was a city that the Roman Empire took over early in their empire, and it had been run by Gaulish people. The Romans called it Gaul, and it became a major Roman city. So I show you this to remind you that there would have been structures like this dotting Europe that were reminders, monuments to what the Romans had done. So the Roman knowledge had not disappeared. It's being revived, resuscitated, and spread at this time. So if we come back to your textbook and we look at what they call First Romanesque, they're showing you the earliest development of this stone mason construction using arches and vaulted ceilings. They're showing you here Saint-Martin du Canigou, and then down here, a very good vision, the Church of Saint-Vincent in Cardona. And this is a great example of the barrel vault ceiling. So notice how if you're using arches, you have a rounded support system, and then you have also a round tunnel of a ceiling. That's what's called a barrel vault. This is an important part of Romanesque architecture. Because if we go back for a moment, let's jump back to 15.7. Ottonian Europe, so the art and architecture under the Ottos, descendants of Charlemagne. They show you this convent church of St. Cyriacus in Gern Road. And you'll notice this has arches and it has columns like Roman buildings. And it's very beautiful, and it has a clerestory like a Roman basilica. But look at the ceiling. The ceiling is timber. So this is a building where you can have a flat meeting point. You can have a rectilinear meeting of the wall and the ceiling because you're using the lighter material. These kind of churches that used wood ceilings were more prone to fire. So that was one reason to move to a stone church. But another reason for having the church space be entirely fabricated from stone is the quality of music. Remember that much of the religious experience involved singing, chanting. We'll listen to a Gregorian chant, and these acoustics enhance the beauty, the celestial quality, the spiritual power of that religious singing.